Okay, I am here with the amazing team from Watch What Crappens, Ben and Ronnie. Thank you so much for taking a couple minutes to chat with me.
Hi, Gina.
How you doing, Gina?
We love our Gina.
We love our Crappens, and you guys, of course, are the ones I always listen to. My children thought I was insane because I had my AirPods and I'm laughing and laughing. They're like, oh, she's finally lost it. And now they know I'm listening to Watch What Crappens. That's why I'm laughing so hard.
Oh, thank you.
So I have to ask you guys, you're both hilarious. How did you meet and when did you guys start your friendship?
Ronnie, why don't you give the storied backstory of our friendship?
We were married. No, we met because Ben ran a blog called TVgasm, and it was kind of what we do in written form, just really snarky, rude recaps, ragging on these shows. And I was a fan of it and auditioned to write for it and ended up writing Top Chef Season 2 recap. So if that tells you anything, I think like Lucille Ball was a contestant on that season. It feels like, the golden age. But
during the Bush era. It was a long time ago.
It was the first one. No. And
the Barbara Bush era.
We both live in LA. We lived like within a mile of each other. And so we ended up seeing each other at the gym. I'm just meeting like that. But yeah, we became friends through TVgasm, and I ended up taking that over once he sold it. And then he started doing a video podcast back when, not podcast, Ben.
It was because of my experience as a blogger, I was hired to host a web show called Housewives Hoedown. And it was just gonna be all about the Real Housewives. And as the host, my duty every week was to find guests to come on the air with me. And so I reached out to various friends, and Ronnie was one of the people that I reached out to because he's just so funny, as you know. And so we had a really fun time doing it. And also we had a great rapport. There was also someone named Matt Whitfield who was in, like, the three of us were doing it. And basically the network that was doing the Housewife Hoedown, they shut down, but we're like, let's just our vibe is so good. Let's just keep doing this. Let's try to make a podcast. So we started a podcast in 2012, and Matt wound up actually going on. He was an editor at Yahoo at the time and now works at Netflix. So his career, he had to take care of his career. He had a legitimate career, but Ronnie and I kept on going with it. And
we did not have a legitimate career.
We did not. I was driving Uber at one point, which actually Uber is legitimate, but you know what I'm saying. He had an office job to go to. So anyway, we kept on doing it. And for years, it was just, this fun thing that we were doing. And then all of a sudden it became like, Watch What Crappens.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you guys are so viral. I mean, any Bravo fan, not even Bravo fan, people don't watch Bravo know who you guys are. So what do you think was the turning point when suddenly you just started getting this momentum behind you? Was it a few years into
we didn't really have a major turning point, oddly enough. We just kept doing it. We both had blogs, and so we had a few, listeners from there. And then, a show would come out that was really popular that a lot of people were just looking for podcasts for, and more people got into podcasts too. The world has changed a lot. So it's been maybe a few turning points, and mostly it's been, other people's podcasts, like people who have helped us along by having us on, and stuff like that. Like Stephanie Wilder Taylor has one called For Crying Out Loud that's really good, and
Lynette Carolla.
Thank you. What is I remember Lynette's name, but not Adam Carolla's. I'm an ass. Sorry, but yeah, just a lot of people along the way have really helped us and kind of lifted us up.
Yeah, and they've given us a lot of exposure. For me, I actually do have a mental turning point. I don't know if it's the podcast turning point, but in 2017, we wound up doing a live show in New York City, and we had done some little ones here in LA at the Improv, where we had 60 people or so. And so we booked something at Gotham Comedy Club in New York City, and we're like, this might be fun because we've never done a show in New York. And I think that room's $250 or something like that. And we sold it out in half a day. And we're like, oh my God. And then when we went and we did it, and the audience was so such a warm audience, but also everyone was amped, and it was so insane. And we're like, wait a second, this is crazy. Is this
There's
something that we could do?
people.
Yeah, is this something we could do? And that was like really the beginning of like our live show chapter. And to me, that was a mental turning point, because that's when I felt like it just sort of, the podcast started to feel bigger than just Ronnie and I Skyping together, which is really what it is most of the time.
Now, did either one of you have aspirations to be a stand-up comedian?
Well, I went to LA to become an actor. I was an improv performer. I went to every improv school. I was doing improv every night when we met. So that was always kind of my thing. And I stopped doing that in this, because once we started going to 2 days a week, and then 3 days a week, and then 5 days a week, I was just so, and we do these dumb characters. We kind of treat it like a silly improv show anyway. So I would get to these improv shows and just be doing Housewives the whole time, and it's like they didn't know this, they didn't know my script. I'm like, I'm Lisa Vanderpump right now, how dare you, but it was just, I just stopped for this really, because we were doing so much of this stuff.
Yeah, there was one moment in the early 2000s where I thought like, maybe I should dabble in stand-up, and this person that I knew was like, no, you wouldn't be good at it, I don't think you really have the personality for it. And then I kind of just like, I was like, yeah, maybe not. Like when someone like says that to you, just like straight up front, it's kind of hard to say like, no, I think I'm still gonna go stand in front of a mic in front of people who don't know me and try to like be funny. So I kind of abandoned it. I always told myself, oh, I'm gonna take improv classes. I always wanted to take an improv class. I never got around to it. But the truth is that I came out to LA to be a writer, and that was my thing. I think at the end of the day, I just want to make people laugh and entertain them as best as I can. And so writing was the avenue that was going to be my path. And it's sort of like, it's funny because with the live shows, ultimately, I do feel like I've been able to scratch a lot of these itches that I had been wanting to for so long. Like I'm getting that performance aspect. I'm not like as much of like a performer as like Ronnie, like Ronnie said, he like wanted to be like an actor and he took the classes, but I got that on stage experience that I had been curious about many years ago. And I feel like the trying to come up with jokes on the fly when we're doing these shows sort of is scratching also that writing itch at the same time.
Yeah, because are you guys just riffing? Because that's what it feels like. Like the jokes just keep coming when we listen to the podcast, or is there like a planned out, thing for you?
No, we're just riffing. We just write down really extensive notes on everything, that like transcript notes.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I feel like one of those people who works for like Dr. Phil at the end, where they're like, for a transcript. They still do that. They used to do that on like Donahue, where they're like, for a transcript of this show, please write in handwriting. I feel like that's our note taking sometime, and then we just make it up, because if we try and come up with anything, the other person doesn't know about it, and so it just becomes a big disaster.
Yeah, I mean, I think that probably like 99% of the stuff is sort of on the fly. A lot of times I'll write down a note about something that's happening on the show, and I'm thinking to myself, I don't know what the joke is here, but I feel like there's something funny, or I think this might be something where like I might say, I feel like I could say something funny about this, and this might be the sort of thing that Ronnie might also find funny, so maybe he'll pile on. Because the other thing is that, with our podcast, it's my favorite moments have been the moments where we sort of go in this random direction, where we just start piling on and we create this sort of like an inside joke, and it's a joke that then becomes a joke for the whole episode. And the really special ones are the jokes that then actually somehow enter our lexicon for the rest of Crappens eternity. And so those moments are so fun. So I'm always kind of like thinking like, is this the thing that like Ronnie and I are gonna just go nuts over? And you never know, like there'll be so many times I'm like, oh my God, we're totally gonna be joking about this for forever, and it's like a dud. And then a random thing like, oh, did you see that Heather Dubrow walked into the room? She's such a room walker in, and then like for 3 years she's like, Heather Dubrow walking into rooms. So you never know.
Yeah, and I think that is the magic of your podcast, because you do feel like you're kind of in on what's happening. So what's crapping? But yeah, no, and how do you guys also choose? Because there's so many Bravo shows. How do you choose which ones you're going to cover?
Well, we used to cover all of them, and then Bravo, they started coming out with so many more. So we got the early days of Shaw's and Vanderpump Rules and all of those. So we stick with those. Those are for sure, because we just always covered them. All the Housewives. And Below Deck is pretty popular. That one needs a break because we put that on break sometimes because it never ends. It's just cleaning year round. Like, I need a break, okay? But sometimes we'll put that on break, and then the other ones it's just when we have room in our schedule. So sometimes we'll do like Married to Medicine and shows like that, shows that aren't from our main stable.
Yeah, I think it depends on we have to monitor really the shows that people are really talking about, because we want to, our show in many ways replicates what it's like to be watching these shows with your friends, just sitting on a sofa, watching these shows, cracking jokes. And that's basically what Ronnie and I are doing. We have microphones in front of us and we're just sending it out to, tens of thousands of people. But that's what we're trying to capture. So we want to keep with the things that people are talking about, but sometimes there are bandwidth issues. And also sometimes there are shows that Ronnie and I really love that aren't maybe as reflected in the overall ratings. Like, we love Top Chef. Like what Ronnie just said, we met over Top Chef. So we love doing Top Chef. So we always try to make room for it if we can.
Yeah.
But mainly we kind of just like play it by ear a little bit, what we can incorporate.
Okay. And I know you guys don't really do a lot of guests. I mean, when you do have guests, it's a blast. I heard you guys talk how you don't really want to have a lot of the people on the shows because then you're afraid you'll become friends with them and then you're afraid you can't make fun of them. Is that sort of what you guys want to stick to with the podcast?
Yeah, I like doing it for the comedy parts of it. I'm not a big interviewer guy. I'm just not like that. Like, I'm not the person you want on the red carpet kissing people's butts. Like, I don't care. So I would not want to be there. I'd be like, we're outside. This sucks. Doesn't this suck for you, Julia Roberts? Like, I don't like it. And I don't really care that they're
you want Ronnie on the red carpet.
Yeah, it'd be great, by the way.
And also, one thing we've learned, having met people from the shows and stuff over the years, meeting the talent, they're crazy. They're all just as crazy as they are on the show. And I can't keep up with that. It's just a lot of lot. And I just like to make fun of them. And it does make, because I'd like to be a jerk on the podcast, but in real life, I'm not like that to my friends, so I wouldn't want to be fake. You meet somebody and then you still have to go talk crap about them. And I always say right up front, when we do meet people, we talk crap about you. Sorry about that. Please don't listen. I'm going to make fun of you tomorrow. So
yeah. And actually the people that we have met have been totally cool with it. They get it. They think it's funny. We ride a really tricky line. For me personally, I ride a tricky line between being almost like a critic, someone a snarky voice, taking the piss out of people. But at the same time, I'm also a fan. So, half these people, if I see them walking around, I'm like, oh my God, I want to, and like having like, so it's like really exciting to, ooh, they're going to want to come on our show. I can talk to them. Like, so the fan side of me gets excited, but the podcaster side of me is also conflicted. And I will say that over the years, I have started to move more towards the podcast side because I just feel like it's better to ultimately be able to still be critical of people. But, the heart wants what the heart wants sometimes. So you never know.
It does. Well, I do have to ask you about one of the hottest shows on Bravo right now, Beverly Hills. I'm just kind of whiplash the whole time. What happened this weekend? Can you make anything out of the Kathy Hilton, Lisa Rinna, and some guy, like some assistant guy?
Oh God. Okay, well, as far as I can parse it out.
Yeah.
So Lisa Rinna was accusing Kathy Hilton of hiring this social media manager to distract away from there's like this story. Ben. You do it, Ronnie.
I love this stuff. Okay. I live for reading all weekend everybody's Instagram, like figuring out the mystery. I love a Bravo mystery. And so this one, I spent the whole, ever since it started until it ended, until the end of the MTV Music Awards, girl, I was sitting there going through every single piece of it. So basically, Rinna gets a text from some dude who says, don't come for me because I can come for you. Something along those lines. I have information on you. So she takes his text, and which has his number on it, and posts it on her Instagram story saying, bring it, bring it on. I'd love to see what you've got. Right. So then people are like, oh my God, Rinna is doxing this guy. And she can't do that. She put his number out there. So it becomes this whole thing of Rinna doxed this kid. And this kid is saying that he's part of a new show called The Real House Husbands of Sunset Strip or something like that. And that they're making a show about the men, and that they asked Rinna for some advice, some of the cast members. And so Rinna showed up and said something incredibly offensive that made this, he didn't say what, but it really upset this guy, and he was going to out Lisa for it. So then he goes and he's posting all over, and he's becoming like Bravo internet famous for it, obviously, because we all read about it all weekend. And then everybody's super into it. Then he goes on a podcast and he tells this story that I just told you, and then he's making this huge deal, and Rinna, of course, is just flaming the fire. So then this guy comes out with a confession like, this was all a lie. I don't even know Lisa Rinna. I was hired by a very powerful person to take the attention off of them. And I work for many celebrities, which is like, oh, okay.
Sure.
I work for a marketing firm. I've been in Forbes. I'm a very big person. It's like some crazy kid. It's some crazy kid. I don't know how he got Rinna's number or whatever, but whoever, I forget the Bravo account that was texting him. It was it my mom, your mom so hard, or your mom, and your Bravo mom or something. And they were DMing him, and he was saying, this is such a mess. Look, I'm tying my own brain up. But basically, she was saying, so are you saying it's Kathy Hilton? And he said, no, I can't say that because I signed NDAs. And she said, does it rhyme with Milton? So they started calling Kathy Hilton Milton, which, you know, we'll probably continue to call Kathy Hilton Milton for the rest of my life. And it turns out this kid is just crazy. And then something happened at the MTV Music Awards because all the housewives were there. Mm-hmm. And Rinna is still on Instagram making all these posts saying, well, it turns out Kathy Hilton was hired this kid to do all this stuff because she's a racist and all this. And I just imagine that they're sitting at this table. Rinna is on Instagram calling Kathy a racist. Kathy's probably on with whatever assistants, you know, what is her assistant's name, Ben? That older guy.
Kathy's, Patrick,
not
her
her
butler.
Assistant, her PR guy.
Oh, that guy. I forget his name.
The Lisa Rinna,
the orange-faced guy
at that party where people doing coke. Elliot Mintz.
Elliot.
So she's probably like, Elliot, what's happening here? You know. And then by the end of it, somehow it was decided that nobody knew this kid, and they just all dropped it. So yeah, I'm imagining Rinna got some lawyers after her.
Well, because the thing is that I think the conspiracy theory was that there was this whole thing that has happened in Aspen that we've been hearing about for months, that Kathy said something to a DJ. And what was it? What was this inflammatory remark? So one of the rumors was that it was the F word then, and not the 4-letter F word. Oh. She called him the F word. Or she called Sutton's assistant the F word. That's what it was. See, it's so convoluted and there's so many rumors. But the point is that the rumor was that Kathy used a homophobic slur, a homophobic slur against Sutton's assistant. But then Kathy, Sutton, and the assistant all posed together for a photo to be like, no, everything is fine. That was like 2 weeks ago or something like that. So the conspiracy was that Kathy hired this guy to create a feud and to distract away from this issue that Kathy was having with potentially slurs. But one thing that's been fun as podcasters is that we have seen over the years, there's this whole sort of world of kind of people who like to attach themselves to the Housewives and Bravo stars and create drama. And this guy to me reads as exactly one of them. He probably came in saying like, listing some sort of credentials that may or may not have been real. Yeah. And I mean, I don't know, maybe they don't even know him. But the point is that there are a lot of these people, these hangers on who, and we see them on the show, that they just create chaos that all turns, and everyone believes exactly what they say on face value.
Speaking of creating chaos, you've got Rinna, the ultimate chaos creator, so you give Rinna like this bone and she's just going crazy. And I mean, Rinna's off the rails for weeks now. Ever since the show started airing, she's been going completely bonkers all over social media, and it's been hilarious because we get so involved. I mean, my friends are texting me like, did you hear about that girl? So we're like, oh, taking screenshots from everybody's account, sending it back and forth like it's the most important thing in the world. I'm like, I can't even find this kid. I looked in Forbes. I looked at like, it's, you know, I searched Forbes for the kid. Like, what are we talking about here? And you got to give them credit because we all talked about it. I mean, everybody who was into this kind of thing talked about it all week. I was at lunch with my family and they were like, Ronnie, shut up. I'm like, I mean, you can just pay to be in Forbes. Did you know that? I mean, he was not in Forbes. They're like, who are you even talking about? Shut up. We're trying to eat our pancakes.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is a great distraction though right now, you know, rather than looking at the actual news. So I think it's giving us a lot more laughter. And speaking of which, you guys went back out on tour. How was that re-emerging? I think it's got to be fun and exhilarating, but at the same time, you know, after being isolated for 2 years, how was it?
Oh my God, it was amazing. It was so fun. It was really rigorous because we went to a lot of cities and we do like 3 cities in a weekend. It was really intense, but it was so fun. First of all, it was really fun to be reunited with Ronnie, my dear sweet Ronnie. We got to travel around together after being apart for 2 years. It was great to see everyone on the road. We got to see a lot of people we hadn't seen. You know, we get to know some of the people that come to our shows, and it was great to see some familiar faces there. And also it was really exciting because we had some really cool special guests. I mean, our final show, Dr. Tiffany Moon of Real Housewives of Dallas, she came out and she was awesome. And then our kickoff show, the Crappies, I mean, we had Dorinda there.
Yeah.
We had Luke from Summer House. We had Jackie from New Jersey. It was just that was just so fun. And to be on basically Broadway, that was a highlight. We had one show where Dolores called in, and that was totally unexpected because my cousin Melissa ran into her at a restaurant and said, "You got to call my cousin. He's doing a live show in Pittsburgh right now." So it was like, I mean, it was a blast.
It was fun, and it was fun just going to dinner. I mean, that was like, I mean, COVID, that was, you know, and every city's different. So some cities were really strict with protocol and some cities didn't care. And some cities, it was interesting seeing how every different place was reacting so differently to it. And then it was my first time out because I'd been in Texas since COVID started. I came here, we were traveling during that time. And I was kind of coming back and forth, and I was like, well, screw this. If we're stuck at home, I'm staying in Texas, you know, and it turned into 2.5 years. And so for me, it was like, oh my God, it's like there's people still left in the world. Cause I thought it was like The Walking Dead out there. I mean, I don't know, like I'm out in the country. I just thought there was nothing left, you know. I thought it was just going to be like one big empty Claire's boutique out there in the world. So I was just glad to be back out there too.
There was so much love in those rooms that we played in. I mean, just everyone was just so warm and kind, and it was great to see people who had been away from each other. You know, a lot of people have been squirreled away in their homes for 2 years watching Bravo, and they don't really necessarily have people to connect with about Bravo because they may be living in a household where no one else is watching the shows that they want to watch. So, I mean, that's what's always been fun about our live shows, is that it's a place for people who all love the same thing to be in a room together, because it's really hard to do that anymore.
Yeah.
And so there just was like a vibe of celebration that was really, really special.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you guys see also a lot more people subscribing to the podcast during the pandemic as they started, you know, they're home? Did you you probably gained a ton of people?
Yeah, we did. It was surprising. Yeah, a lot of people. I wasn't sure. I thought maybe we wouldn't, because I thought people would listen to the podcast mainly on commutes and things like that. But actually, a lot of people were listening at home.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, I have to ask you before I let you go, BravoCon. I think 2019, I didn't get to go. You guys didn't go, did you?
No.
We all got
we were traveling around at that time.
We were in Indianapolis, I think.
I mean, we weren't invited either. Like, let's not.
What do you think about this year? Do you think you're going to be going?
No, not on purpose. I mean, we haven't been invited to go. I'm not a hater or anything. I think it's really cool that they do it, but that sounds just like too many people to me. That's like our version of like Harry Styles, you know. It's like there's just going to be thousands and thousands of people gathered together, rubbing up against each other. No, so probably not for me. I mean, I'll be there on Instagram.
I mean, if we were invited, I would go. But I'm not. The only reason why I'm not going out of my way is because generally speaking, if I don't have to travel somewhere, I'm just not going to travel somewhere. And we just did a whole bunch of traveling. So now I'm like, I'm going to stay here. So, but you never know. I mean, maybe in the fall, I'll be like, must go to BravoCon. But for right now, we're not, but there's no plans.
Okay. Because you guys have been on Watch What Happens Live, though, a couple of times. I mean,
are you going to go, Gina?
Am I going to go? Mm-hmm. I don't know yet. I don't know. We'll see. I'll go.
It'll be exciting to see what panels there are, et cetera, and see who's going to be coming. And it looks like it'll be super fun.
Yeah, I don't want to do anything ever. Like, if you invite me to dinner, I will say no, I don't want to do that. And then 5 minutes before, I'm like, that sounds fun. Dinner sounds fun. You know, and then I have the best night of my life. So who knows? But yeah, right now.
I know. Well, everyone can continue to listen to you guys, on, Apple and Spotify. And any plans to go back out on the road maybe in the next 6-7 months or?
Yeah, we're trying to firm up plans for fall-ish. We're waiting. We're waiting on some things to see, but yeah, we're going to go out as much as people will have us.
Yeah.
We started with a 5-person audience, so
that is correct.
It gets to 4 people. We're not stopping. Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing.
5 is our cutoff.
Well, very cool. All right. Well, if we can't see you at BravoCon, at least maybe we can see you out on the road again. So
fabulous. Well, hopefully we'll see you in person too.
Yes, I know. All right, guys. Take care.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gina.